What is poppin' in my choppin' Bagel Bites? It is Mr. Bagel Bites here, bringing you another deck profile video. Was able to take Melodious Supreme King to locals, and we took it 4-0.
Pendulum is the best deck of all time, baby! And best deck! Let's go!
This was super clean. I've been trying to make Magispectors good again. I have some brews, but nothing I'm super confident with yet. But I keep trying stuff. I might make a deck direction on it and see if what people kind of think. But let's go ahead and get into this deck, because this overperformed. I think in this new like weakened Snake Eyes meta, I think this deck just got a lot better. But let's go ahead and get into it. We're playing 3 Dark Worm. He's really good. You dump him, and then if he's normal or specialed, he can special summon himself off the dump. But when he's played, you get a Supreme Gate card from your deck to your hand, and it's just good. And he's a 4 dragon. He's good dragon. And then we have the Light Dragon. He's also a pretty good dragon. When he's played, he's for grind game. You get like a dragon or a gate, and then you can synchro with them if you want, and or Xyz and stuff. Like he comes up. He's good. He's for the grind game. He's not like in like any real combo that I went through today, but like he's good to have. Plus he's a scale. Plus he's a light, so you can play him under the Melodious package. 1 gate 0 and 3 gate Magician. These guys are so good. This guy being a light is so good for us too. Like, and he's a 1, like, and then gate 0 is obviously a 0, but such a good card. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know how this deck like fell under like the radar. Like, it did some stuff in Japan, like in around like the OCG, but here it just didn't do anything, and that's super surprising. I think it's because like the TCG hates Pendulum. But we got 2 Wings of Light. It's the card you search. It's pretty good. I like it. I had it at 3. I cut it to 2 to cut space, to cut it from 41 to 40. I wanted it a bit tighter. And it's a quick play spell, so if you get drolled, you can chain it and still search, which is pretty cool. Because you don't need a ton of searching in this deck, which is pretty nice. Like, there is a decent bit. Like, droll hurts, but you're not, like, depending on where you're at in your combo and what you have in your hand, it's not a death sentence. You can still make board. 3 Refrain. I don't want to cut this any lower. I think you always need the 3 Refrain. But we're playing 2 Couplet. I had 3 Couplet. I don't like 3 Couplet, so we cut the 2 Couplet. 3 Ostinado. It is like Branded Fusion on crack for our deck. And 1 Concerto. I think this is the good ratio. I've seen a couple builds that play the other 4 Melodious, and I just don't really like it. I don't think it's necessary. 2 Dragon Shrine and 1 Foolish Burial. Yeah, dump Dark Worm. This is basically what it's for, is just to dump the worm and then like play it. Yeah, you could play 3 Shrine. I like Foolish. It could, in theory, come up in a way where like if you don't want to draw a specific card, you can dump it off the Foolish. So I play like it instead of 3 Shrine. Now, the hand traps, we got 3 Nib. I think it's the best hand trap right now in the current meta because of the weird situation of like negates and end boards for a lot of decks at the TCG's end. So I think Nib is like exceptionally good right now. 3 Ash Blossom. It's also really good right now, especially in a 1 Ash, 1 Poplar meta. I think that Ash Blossom got a lot better than it had been. I think there were a lot of situations where Ash Blossom was not correct to play for a long time in Fire King format, and people just did it because it's comfortable. But I do like it again now. 3 Veiler, or 2 Veiler rather. 2 Veiler. I had it at 3, cut it to 2 for deck space because I wanted to play some other hand traps. But it's part again of like where if you see it, it's really good against like Ash. But I don't like seeing multiple Veiler, because Bestials are starting to be a little more prevalent, so this might get cut for something else. I haven't decided yet, but I still like it right now. And 3 Imperm, because it plays around those, and it plays against Tactics, which is on the rise as well. And then we play 1 Mag, 2 Druid's Worm. I think the Bestials are really good in the format right now with Fiendsmith. Druid's Worm's really good because it can add either of the Supreme King Dragons to our hand. There's an argument that, like, I could probably cut a Druid's Worm, but I really like Druid's Worm, so I wanted to keep the count a little bit higher. Plus, I just think I just think they're good. I like them. I think they're really good right now in the format. And then to round it out, 3 Crossout Designator. Really good card. I think a deck like this needs this a bit more right now, especially since you can stop a lot of, like, the opponent's not ending on a lot of negates per se. It's more like other forms of interaction, which I prefer typically in Yu-Gi-Oh! So having like this to enable your guys to go through is pretty strong. I cut Called By also. I think in retrospect I could see myself cutting one Druid's Worm for the Called By. Reason I liked the Druid's Worm in theory was for Fiendsmith, and it did really well. It was really good every time I saw it, but there's definitely an argument that you could play the Called By over one of the Druid's Worms or something. A lot of it's preference and like what your locals plays for sure. Extra deck, we got 2 Baka. You need the 2 to make sure your combo goes off. 1 Odd-Eyes Rebellion Xyz Dragon. This is for Supreme Cake Magician, Caked Up Magician. 1 Odd-Eyes Absolute. That's because you link it off, you go into Vortex Dragon. So that's kind of that package there. 1 Beyond the Pendulum, 1 Exceed the Pendulum. Yeah, I don't think I'd mess with ratios on here. Maybe a second Beyond, in case it gets like hit or stopped. Like there's an argument for it. There's a little bit of like maneuvering you can do in the extra deck here. 1 Access Code, 1 IP, 1 SP. I mean, yeah, these I wouldn't change at all. These are really good. This one was a package I've been trying lately and been really enjoying. So 1 Moon. Reason I really like Moon is because it's a target for a lot of like Kashtira decks. Like if you see like Unicorn a lot splashed in brews, like people hit this because they're like, oh, Fiendsmith, let's hit this. Like they just like single in on it, even though there's not a lot of other reason to. Like there's nothing that would lead to it. So I've been trying this lately as like kind of like a bait in the extra deck, but I'm also playing Underworld Goddess, so it helps out a lot too. Like you can make this super easy if you're playing this. I really like this package, and it like kind of tunnel visions a lot of players, especially because they don't know really what to hit out of this sometimes. Like a lot of times they'll hit the Vortex, which does hurt, or like sometimes they'll see this and like they'll hit it, but a lot of the time people are so frightened by the cards they do know, like Moon with Fiendsmith, that they've been hitting that, which has been interesting. It doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen, and I've been like, well, I'm glad this is here, and it's a good card. 1 Baguska, 1 Typhon, and to round it out, we play 1 Ignister Draco Slayer. I love this card. I love this card. And we'll get into why it's here now. Well, yeah, I'll put it up front. Let's get into it off rip. 2 Akiza tokens for the consistency on the Akiza mat. It boosts your consistency by 45%. The reason the Ignister's here, we are playing the Majesty Pegasus, because if it's Pendulum, you get to Pendulum Special, you get to search for a field spell, and we are playing Secret Village of the Spellcasters. You end on quite a number of spellcasters that you can end on, rather. So I think this is really good, and you can just lock your opponent out of spells. I mean, it's a floodgate, and it's a really good floodgate, especially if you have it backed by hand traps. So this is for Rogue as well as a cross-out designator target for potentially game 2 or 3. We play 3 Droll. I think there's a world where this is really good, where some of the other hand traps might not be. So that's another reason I wanted to play 3 Bestial names, is because I could swap these out if they weren't a target, and then just like put these in, and it's like, oh, that's an easy swap out. Same thing for these. This is the other 3 like swap out. It's time. You know what it is. Ghost Mourner, or Spooky Dogwood rather, not Mourner. Oh my gosh. Spooky Dogwood. It comes in, you know, you gain life points. What else can you say? 1 Duster and 3 Cosmic. I think Cosmic's in a really good place again right now, especially because of Fire King seeing relevance again. So you can just hit the Fire King Island in certain points of their combo line. They're just like, oh, well, that's not great. And then to round it out, because I love this card, it could be changed, you can do preference, but I think D-Barrier's still really good. I think there's enough rogue stuff going on right now that it can be really good. And just like decks in general, like a lot of decks, like stopping the Phantom of Yubel feels really, really good. And like the fusion, like sure they don't have not Lurie, that's the main deck, oh my gosh, Lacrima. Sure they don't have like Lacrima anymore, but so I like this a little bit less, But stopping Phantom of U-Bell, like this is basically like my U-Bell card now, was invaluable going like into game 3 if we were down 1. But that's the profile. I really like it. Let me know what you think down below. Let me know other decks you'd like to see. I had a lot of fun piloting this. Hit that like, subscribe button, all those buttons, and as always, catch you later.